Greetings, Friendpreneurs. Welcome to another episode of Friendpreneur Fiyah. I am your host, Tiffany Bargeman. I am the CEO, founder, and visionary of Friendpreneurship, LLC. And this is a community that I get excited about this. So give me a second to calm down while I'm talking about Friendpreneurship. We build community by connecting entrepreneurs through targeted networking and live storytelling events. So, this Friendpreneur Fire podcast is one of the platforms that we use to give entrepreneurs a platform to talk about their why, because people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And speaking of buying, my guest tonight knows all about selling. So, we're going to talk to her. I'll introduce you in just a bit. But first, I want to thank our sponsor. Our sponsor this evening is Emma's Jewelry Box. And I want to just give a little shout out to Miss Virginia Williams, because this young lady has been very interested in friendpreneurship. She has shown herself friendly. I met her not long ago. It was November. She was at the Friendpreneurship conference in Seven Springs Vineyard. So I appreciate her sponsorship. She has a jewelry company. I'm going to just let you know a little bit about what she sells. I am a patron. I have a couple pairs of her beautiful earrings. And Emma, okay, so her jewelry box features polymer, clay, and resin jewelry and accessories. And you can see her website here, www.emmasjewelryboxnorthcarolina.com, emmasjewelryboxnc.com. So check out her website, and these are all handmade jewelry crafts. I am excited about being able to share her information, so check her out. That's Emma's Jewelry Box. Now I'm going to add to the stage our guest for this evening, Liz Rossilli. Hi, Liz.
Hi.
And she is the president of Sales Savvy. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about Liz, and then we're going to talk about her why. We'll get it from her, and then we'll go deep into some information about sales. Okay. So Liz is a sales expert with 30 plus years experience, the president of Sales Savvy and a sales consulting. This is a sales consulting practice in Cary, North Carolina. Through this business, she helps business owners nationwide bring in consistent clients without compromising, and I love this part, without compromising sanity or integrity. From the early days of her family's business to working for startups, corporations, and her own enterprises, Liz has successfully sold everything from $1 million of pens to $40 jewelry out of the trunk of her car. I would love to hear more about that. Over the past 3 decades, she's discovered how to sell from every angle, and more importantly, how to build the lasting, authentic relationships that bring in regular, reliable sales and create lifelong connections. I'm big on connections, so we're going to talk about that too. Now, also, Liz lets us know that her passions include baseball, the Carolina Hurricanes, and fitness challenges. She lives in Cary with her family and 2 rescue dogs, Bandit and Starlet. So that is the black and white story, but I want to hear from Liz why you do what you do. And then I'm going to, just take it all in, and I'm going to give it back to you so you can tell me if I'm capturing everything just right. So tell us about your why, Liz.
I would say, it's one of those things, sometimes your why, you don't even know why you do what you do. And it just comes from within. And I've
Mhm.
always been a giver and someone who I'm a problem solver. So if you're telling me about the problem with your business, I'm always have naturally just been like, well, have you tried this? Like, let's talk about what are you doing? What's working? What's not working? And I just have, since I've been in business, in different business, I've always helped my friends with their businesses. And especially during COVID, when businesses were all struggling and the word was pivot, everyone had a pivot. Sometimes you need that outside view to look at your business and things that seem so obvious to others. You need someone to look at it from the outside and say to you, like, hey, let's talk about what you can do a little differently. And so during COVID, I always thought that everyone loved to sell, and it turns out that they don't. So, for a few amazing people in my life, in my community, that said to me, you need to do this as a business. Like this is what you're meant to do. And I was like, no, I have my sales. I was selling promotional products. I was like, it's a little crazy during COVID, but I'm going back to this and I love this. And they're like, this is your natural calling. You need to do this. So I started Sales Savvy while still doing my sales, where I was still selling. And then eventually realized that, yeah, I think this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So I got out of promotional products and I do my consulting full time now. So it was kind of, I won't say that I woke up one morning and said, this is what I should be doing. It just naturally what I've always just kind of done. And then my business came out of that.
Yeah. So you were gifted in this area and you were just doing business, but someone outside of you said to you, hey, you're really good at this and you should do it. So I've heard that story before. A lot of times our gifts are in us and we just do things naturally. We think everybody else, does what they do because it's their natural gift. But when you have something that stands out, a lot of times it takes someone else to point it out. So
Well,
I'm
and
glad that you had that opportunity.
yeah, and I think too, because I just thought that everyone knew how to do this. I didn't think it was anything special. I thought everyone knew how to sell and knew how to, what to do, and that, yeah, it's not the easiest thing to do, but it was like, what if you want to grow your business, this is what you have to do. And so,
Yeah.
but yeah, I found out that, like other people were terrified of it and couldn't see the clear plan that I had just from years of just trying it and adjusting, that I kind of figured out what worked for me.
Okay. And we're going to talk about what works and what doesn't based on your 30
Mhm.
plus years of experience. But before we do, when it comes to entrepreneurship, there are several components of business that every entrepreneur has to tap into, right? We may be good at what we're doing and what we are trying to get people to buy. This is our product or our service, right? We want to stay in our lane. But then there are other pieces, other components like sales and marketing. And then we've got the accounting side because, we wear all the hats. We've got to
Right.
do all the things. So and I'll speak for myself, I am not crazy about the idea of having to try to sell what I do. It's not easy for what I do because it's a service. It's not a cupcake that you can taste and say, hey, give me some
Mhm.
more. I'll buy that. It's not a haircut that you can look in the mirror and say, oh, I love it. I'll come back next week. It's a spirit, it's a sense of community. So I am going to be asking you a little bit of personal advice. How do you sell community? And you're familiar with that too, because you have a community. I'll back up just a little bit before I ask you to give me some nitty gritty. I went to an event, well, two events where you were. Kimberly Winborn had an event, a summer brunch last summer. That's where I met you. We sat at the same table.
Mhm.
And then you had an event in Cary. What was the name of that venue?
Blush
Blush.
co-work.
Yes. Yes, the co-working space. And that was the big event,
Yeah,
correct?
believe, inspire, grow. Mhm.
Yes. Okay. So we met on a couple of occasions, and both times I felt your I guess there's an aura. You are a relationship builder. You are a connector. You don't mind being in a room with people. So we'll start with that question. When it comes to relationships, how do you find that relationships are important in sales?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's about having a general interest in the people that you're meeting, and not separating people right away from saying, "Oh, I think that's a prospect or a possible client, and this person, I don't think they are." So you kind of disregard them. I look at everyone as you never know who the person is, what you can do for them and what they can do for you and what that connection is going to be. So I go in very open and very open to just learning about other people. And maybe I'm going to meet some friends, maybe I'm going to meet some referral partners, maybe I'm going to meet some clients, maybe I'm going to meet people that I could just help in some way. So just going in very open makes it so that I'm being very authentic when I'm there, and just looking to see and going in with the thought of giving and how can I help these people? Like when I met you and you were telling me about your business, I'm automatically thinking of like, oh, who can I introduce to Tiffany? How can I help her? And just with that mindset of not like, what can she do for me or what's in this for me? Just thinking of the other person helps me to just try to be there for everybody when I walk into the room.
Mm-hmm. And at some point, there will be a collaboration that you and I can do. But until then, I see the relationship building because we've been at a couple of events together. We've been in the same circles and we're meeting the same kinds of people, like-minded visionaries. And now you're on my podcast, willing as a friendpreneur to share some of your knowledge and wisdom. And let me define friendpreneur for those who may not know. A friendpreneur is a friendly entrepreneur who is not afraid to bring others along for success. And this community is all about learning from each other. You, Liz, would be considered a Friendpreneur Fellow, which is a subject matter expertise in one of those key business areas that touches every entrepreneur. So when it comes to sales, let's talk about the don'ts, the things that do not work, and the things that would work, and how they may differ depending on the type of service or product that you're selling. So give us a little.
I would say, first of all, like, cause I have clients and, we try to niche down in our market and say, oh, this is my target market. But I have clients from everything from wealth management to photographers to, you name it, everything in between. So I have some that sell a product. I have two women that I'm working with that have an app that they're trying to figure out how do they sell it. Cause it's amazing, but they don't know how to talk about it. So they are having trouble selling it. So I think but I always say sales is sales. So it doesn't matter to me what you're selling. I think the process is always the same. And it starts with the mindset, right? It starts with the mindset of that I have something that I know is going to help you. If I've done my homework and I've kind of narrowed down that you are a good target for me, that I can help you. If I don't tell you what I can do and share my passion with you, how are you going to know? How can I won't be able to help you and you're going to be missing out. So to me, a lot of it is just the mindset of not, no one wants, everyone says, I don't want to sound salesy. I don't like to sell. And I say, you're not selling, you're just sharing your passion. If you don't share what you do and what you love. And a lot of times for me, I'll just be telling someone, if they'll ask me about my business and I start and I get all excited about it and then talk about what they're doing and they're like, how can we work? And I was like, oh, that wasn't the point of this conversation. But because I'm sharing what I'm passionate about, they automatically are attracted to that. So I say, you don't want to follow someone else's, I've read so many sales books. And when I was creating my sales consulting company, I thought I had to follow, oh, you got to teach them all these, how to handle objections, which is important, but how to do all these things. And you have to, and it was not feeling authentic. And I was like, but that's not why am I teaching this when that's not how I sell? Right. So I sell where thinking of the more people I meet and the more people who I bring into my network and tell them what I do, the more people that I can help and the more people that are going to want to work with me. But it's not about saying I need to always be in sales mode. I'm just in the mode of, let me tell you what I do. And if that sounds good to you and that sounds something like you need, let's talk.
I love that. And you know what? We're getting to a place as time goes on where authenticity is so much more important than textbook strategy, right? I know that people call on the phone all the time looking to sell something. We have mechanisms in place to block those kinds of calls because they are so inauthentic and they come so frequently all the time. People have gotten away from the idea of authenticity. So I appreciate what you're saying here about the relationship building and how important it is to not automatically come with the mindset, I'm going to sell this person something. You want to come with the intent to listen and to build a relationship first. And I think that's very important.
Right. And I'm not saying that prospecting and cold calling is not important. I think that is extremely important. But the more you can figure out who your ideal client is and and make a real prospecting list that is really your true potential clients, right? People that like this is the right size company. They have the budget. This is their mission statement, which aligns with my values. These are the people that would be my dream clients. Then if you call them, you're just sharing, once again, you're sharing your knowledge with them. You don't have to be selling them. You're just sharing that, and you have a much better chance of getting them as a client than if you were just, if you bought this list and you're just calling 500 people that you don't even, have any information about who they are or what they do, or if they align with you. So that's when you're going to get feeling that icky, yucky, salesy feeling. But if you're just sharing your passion and you have a true plan in place, it is so much better, and you're going to get so many more people that are going to ask you to tell them more about it.
Okay, so let's talk about the psychology of it a little bit. Okay, so as an entrepreneur, it's easy for me to talk about my business. Somebody asks me about friendpreneurship, I can talk about it all night, right? It just flows, comes out, blah, 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 blah. But then if somebody says, Tiffany, sell your service, something goes up in me psychologically that freezes me and makes me nervous, as if I have to cover all the bases, make sure I don't miss anything. And then I'm afraid I will. So I freeze. And it makes me nervous. So how can we as entrepreneurs get past any kind of nervousness when we are, because technically talking about it in our passionate way is selling it, but we have to separate the idea of sales if we're nervous. How can we do that?
So what I do with my clients is the first thing we do is we do talk about that why, but it's not your why of why you're in business. It's the why of why are you picking up the phone? Why are you reaching out to this person? What is it that you're going to do for them? And once you have that clarity on what that is, then like I said, it's the mindset of, and I have to do it. I mean, cold calling is scary, and and you can come up with 100 other things in your office that you need to be doing other than making your cold calls. So I hear you. But what I do is I say, if I don't call, like, here's my perfect list. I know these people align with my values. They're the right size companies. If I don't call them, if I don't pick up the phone and try to talk to them, they're never going to know that I'm there to help them. So also to have a clear purpose for that first call. The first call is the hardest, right? Because you're calling them completely cold. And so if you have a clear purpose of what the point of that call is, it makes it so much easier. So the first call, all you're trying to do is get a meeting. That's all you want to do is get a meeting. You just say, hey, you tell them a little bit about who you are. This is what I do. This is, and why it is you're calling them. Why can you help them? Whether it's something as far as, something in the industry that's happening, or how you've helped other people like them, other companies like them, other people like them. And then you say, I'm wondering if you have 15 or 20 minutes next week that we could just sit down and have a quick call so I can learn more about you and how I can help you. And that's all you have to do on that first call is to get that meeting. And so once you take away that scariness of, I have to sell, I got to explain all this stuff in this, and they could hang up the phone on me. They could, all the things that go through our head, if that's going to happen, I'm going to ruin my chance. And all you're trying to do is get a meeting on that first call. It takes away a lot of that anxiety, because you know how the call is going to go, right? Either they're going to say yes, oh, okay, or they're going to say no. Or it's like, hey, I just want to know if you have time for coffee. I'd love to take you to coffee next week. And that has worked more times for me than anything else. Like, just making yourself seem like a real person, and you're not just a robocaller, like dialing for dollars here, right? And telling them, like, listen, I work with these people and you fit right into my, you're my perfect client, I think. And I just would love to learn more about how I can help you and how we can work together. And so if you just do things to make yourself seem more like a real person and offer to take them for coffee or for lunch, I think you're going to make a lot more headway that way.
And I hear be a person. Be the person that you are, because that's what
Yes.
we are. I think going to networking events like the brunch we went to and like the big event, when you're actually in the room with people, sure, there's still a level of nervousness that some people have who may be introverts or whatever. But I think it takes away the nervousness, at least for me, being in a room with people and feeling the energy is easier than talking on the phone. I guess because I can see them, I can feel that energy, but through the phone, there's like a wall and it adds to my nervousness. So, would you say relationship building events or networking is equivalent to cold calling and more effective? Or do they both have benefits?
I love networking probably more than anyone you'll ever meet. Like I could go to networking events every day of the week. Like I love it. I love the Chamber of Commerce. I love women's groups. I will go to any networking event. And years ago, when I was selling promotional products, I had this aha moment one day because I was going to people were like, "Oh my God, you're everywhere," and I was like, "Yeah, I'm everywhere." And then I was like, oh my God, my target market, my target client doesn't network. And I was like, it was this aha moment of like, I'm looking for mid-sized companies.
Mhm.
And they do not go to networking events. I'm networking with all these entrepreneurs who I don't even want to, I don't want their business because they're too small from what I was doing at the time. So I
Mm.
was like, why am I doing all this networking? And then you say, well, okay, if these aren't my target clients, which some of them could be, but um, they are referral partners, right? So, and networking just energizes me because
Mhm.
you're with people who are there for the same reasons you are, which is
Mhm.
amazing. But I
Mhm.
do think it needs to be balanced with cold calling because if you think of it this way, when you network, kind of like social media marketing, you don't know in networking who's going to be in the room. You don't know who's going to show up. You don't know who your perfect client could be in the room, but you might not even get to meet them. You don't
Mhm.
even know that they're there. You might be sitting at a luncheon and there are 3 tables over from you and you don't even know they're there, right? So you're chancing who's showing up in the room, who are you meeting, who are you having conversations with. That is just random chance. When you prospect and you come up with a clear list of and I love coming up with creative ways to make these lists. And I'm not saying you need a list. You do not want a list of 500 people. You want a list when you start, you want 50 people on your list of your golden, perfect clients. You just need 50 and you're going
Mhm.
to hit them in 15 at a time. You're going to focus on 15 at a time. And when you do it that way, then you have a very clear, this is my person. I am reaching out to this one person. I know they are my target client.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it's just very precise. And one thing I read was that you can't say the right thing to the wrong person, and you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. So if
Ah,
you're talking to the right person, you don't have to worry about every word you say. If they're the right person and you know that's a target,
yeah.
then whatever, when you're talking to them, when you have a conversation with someone and they're nodding or you can't see
Mhm.
them on the phone, but they're
You're right.
like,
Yes.
and you guys are just riding that wave together.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's because that's the right person. And whatever you say, they're going to agree with, they're going to understand because you're talking to the right person. So you want to just get on the phone with as many right people as you can so that you don't have to worry so much about what you're saying.
Mhm.
You're
Mhm.
talking to the right person and they need what you have.
Mhm. Okay, so I'm hearing two things. The cold calling with a good list of prospects that you've researched and know is your target audience. That's going to save you some time and energy in a way. If you go to a networking event, you will get the benefit of referral clients. You're going to meet people who may not be your client, but you'll still be able to make some kind of connection with them, right?
Mhm.
But you may not meet your ideal client. So time is not necessarily wasted at a networking event. There's good stuff happening there, but in with a prospective list, you'll be able to more directly target who you're reaching out to. That's what I'm hearing.
Correct. Yes. And so I think if you're looking to build your community, to grow your network, networking events are awesome for that.
Mhm.
If you're looking to grow your sales okay, this month I want to get 3 new clients.
Mm-hmm.
So how do I do that efficiently? You need to be prospecting and you need to be doing your outreach.
Okay,
If that
I
makes
got you.
sense.
It makes sense. It makes sense.
Because
Okay.
because to me, networking and building that community, you're in
Mm-hmm.
it for the long run. You're in the long game here,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're not looking for transactions. You're looking to, like I said, to cultivate, to build a network, and to
Mm-hmm.
have people that you can rely on. Like if someone says to you, "Hey, I need an accountant," you're going to say, "Oh, I was just at this event and I met this amazing woman.
I
Like, let
love
me
that.
connect you to her." Yes,
Yeah.
so that is the purpose of networking, but
Yeah.
you might not get any sales out of that, or
Mm-hmm.
might meet the people that are going to get you to where you want for your actual sales goals.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it may not be an immediate gain like a sale, but in the long run, you have expanded your circle, you have built more connections, and somebody's going to think of you later
Yes.
down the line because you've been that connector, right? And I think that's one of my favorite parts about entrepreneurship,
Yes.
meeting so many people who are like-minded visionaries and being able to say, huh, I know this person does that. And I'm going to tell you about this person, connect with that person. I love being that
Yes.
resource
No,
connector.
that is I love it. I love it. That's where I want to spend the majority of my time. But
Mhm.
you have to put a few hours, I'd say at least twice a week, if not more, probably 3 days a week, where you have 2 hours blocked that you're going to focus on your outreach and your sales. And then
Woo.
it's the balance. But you don't have to be I'm not telling you to be making calls that whole time, right? You're building
Mhm.
that list, you're making your calls. Follow up is so, so important too.
Yes.
You can't just call them once and be like, oh, they didn't call me back, so they're not interested, right?
Mhm.
I work with my clients on an actual sales process, like a follow-up plan too. So it's about all those things, but you have to block that time
Mhm.
in your day. But then, I mean, my community is the most important thing to me. Like, that is, being an entrepreneur is a lonely business, and we
Mhm.
need each other, and we need to be able to ask for help. We need to be able to give help. And that's what the community is all about.
Absolutely. We need each other. That's one of the things that I try to convey in my messaging. We need each other. Solopreneurship is real, but it's not something that we want to always own, right? Since we have a network of people, and the more people we meet who make connections with us that are meaningful and are willing to share their wisdom and their knowledge and their expertise and refer us over here and support us, promote, support, repeat. Those are the core
Mhm.
values of entrepreneurship. The more people we meet like that, the more I think empowered we are as entrepreneurs to continue growing and motivated. We are more motivated because solopreneurship is lonely. And sometimes, if you're not connected with other people who might be able to pour into you at the time that you need it, you can get discouraged. And you might need a word at a certain time. Yes, you can do it, or here's a resource for you to take advantage of so you can take your next step. All of that's so important. So I'm glad that you get the relationship
Yes.
building aspect of entrepreneurship.
Yes. And I always say that, like, if you have a great call with someone, or something great happens in your business and you're in your office by yourself, I'll be like, yay. And I'll be like, pat myself on the back. Good job. But it's great to have that community, to then there's the people that you're going to want to call when that happens
Mhm.
and share that news with, celebrate your wins with, right? And then when something doesn't go well, having someone to reach out to who understands, because your family might not they might be in corporate and they're used to
Right.
having their teams. They don't understand what that's like.
It's very
And the
different.
last thing I would say is also having accountability partners within
Mhm.
your network, within that your community, are so important to keep you. Like, I have all different accountability partners, because
Mhm.
I am a rule follower. So if I know I have to answer to someone else, I'll get some of those things, the parts of the business that I don't like finance and
Mhm.
accounting. I need someone else to make sure that I'm doing those things. So it's important
Yes,
to have that community for that too.
it is. Those are your friendpreneurs. Okay, I'm gonna ask one more question, and then I want to hear what's on the horizon for sales for Savvy. Let's see. Maya Angelou, she says, when you know better, do better, right? Over time, what changes have you made in your approach to sales that resulted in benefits? As a young
I
salesperson, you probably did some things way different than you do now.
Yeah. So I think when I first was starting in this business, like in my consulting, I kind of, like I had said before, I thought I had to like do it the way all the sales books I was reading did it. And first of all, as a woman in sales is very different than a man in sales, right? So our confidence is different. The way that we're looking to build relationships are different. So I recently read, or not January, this January, but last January, I read this book, which is I need to just like
I like
get,
that.
yeah, Go Giver Sells More, which the Go Giver is a fable. And then he wrote this book called The Go Giver Sells More. And I read that book and it made me realize this is what I do. Like the idea of giving without expecting anything in return, being a good listener, helping others. Like that's how I sell. And to see that there was, so they wrote a book on how to do this. I was like, that's my answer. So I've in the last 6 months, I've definitely changed that the way I'm teaching sales to be that it's okay to do it relationship driven and to do it through your own, that community that we all have. And not to feel like, yeah, it's important to make those calls, but being authentic on the calls too, and saying it in your own way is so, so important. So I've definitely like adjusted, and I have a full program that I have that's like 9 modules that I have that we meet, we talk in between, and then you kind of do a module and then we talk about how it's going. But I'm going to rewrite them a little bit because but I really want to focus on this whole concept of giving first and not expecting anything in return and just being there for other people. And I think that's the way, if we all had that approach, like it would be just amazing how different our business world would be. So
Yeah.
that to me is the most important part.
Yeah. And I actually see it happening. The
Yeah.
more I get out in these networking events, more like-minded visionaries have that ingrained in them. And we're finally meeting each other. We're finally getting to a place where we are surrounding ourselves with these people, and it is energizing. It's very
Yes.
energizing and motivating. I love that.
Yes. And I say too, to like, if there's something that I've already like made that mistake, like why should someone else who's maybe 3 steps behind me have to make that same mistake? So if I can help you by saying, no, don't even go, like do this instead, like skip over this, then
Yes.
why wouldn't I want to help someone to just do that? So that to me is also very important.
Prevent waste. I don't like waste. And
Yeah.
just sharing your lessons learned can save so much time, money,
Mhm.
energy, so much. Oh my goodness. Can I can talk about that. That's a whole different topic.
Yeah.
Preventing waste, but we have to help one another. We just do.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm going to pull up some information that you shared with me. And if
Mhm.
you would like to talk about your consultations, we can do
Mhm.
that.
Sure,
Um,
sure. Yeah. So there are 30-minute free consultations to talk about your business, where you are. Once again, to get that outside perspective from someone else. And for me, I'm told that I'm resourceful, like, and I love to think outside the box. So like coming up with creative ways, maybe like don't follow the path someone else has set, like create your own path. So on my consultations, because I have this strong feeling that I have to give first, it's not like I'm like putting a nugget out there and being like, okay, if you want to get the rest of that, then you have to pay me, right? It's like, let me try to help you as much as I can in this 30 minutes. And then if you need more, I'm here and you can hire me. But my free consultation is truly a free consultation to see where you are and what we can do within 30 minutes to make it better. So
mhm.
that's how I do my consultations.
I like what you just said, Liz, because the more social media we watch, the more often we see hooks like that. We will see a great headline that draws us in and we're like, oh, I want to know, I want to know. And then you get this long drawn out video of people talking about the product, but never telling you exactly what it is you want to know. And then
Right.
you've gotten into it deep and you're like, well, how long is this going to be? And then when you finally get to what you think they're going to tell you, they say, now you got to go do this to get this information. And it's
Mhm.
like, oh, I have wasted my time. And
Yes.
I like what you said about this consultation not being like that. There's no trick here. You
No,
don't have to
no,
trick people to sell.
no, no. I don't, I want the people who need my help and who need more than what I can do in 30 minutes to hire me. So
Mm-hmm.
we can be a partnership and we can get through this together. But I I can talk sales all day, so be careful because I get on if we start talking about your business and I get excited about it, like is we're gonna go a little crazy. So
Well,
yeah,
when people
yeah.
need you, the contacts that we make, I believe, are for a reason. Nothing is for nothing. So if
Mhm.
someone contacts you about your 5-step plan here,
Yeah, so
they
this
need.
is this gets you on my email list, to be honest, and I am terrible about sending emails because I hate doing them, and so I will be honest about that. I would rather meet first person to person and talk, but I do have an email list that it's on my list for this year to be better about it. But this will give you a freebie that just gives you 5 steps to get ready for consistent sales, just a little checklist to help you, and it will put you on my email list. So the emails I have up there now that you'll get are pretty entertaining. And like I said, I'm just trying to put like real content out there, not just because I have to. I really only post on social media and put my emails up when I feel I have something to say. So
Mhm,
it's
mhm,
they're not consistency is a word I need to help with, but I'm okay with it with my social media, just talking when I have something to say. So,
mhm.
but there's my website, my email address, my phone number. If you want to pick up the phone and call me,
If you
go
want.
for it. I will. If I am free, I always answer my phone. So I'd love to talk to anyone who's struggling or anyone who wants just to talk about where they are and where they're trying to get to.
Okay, that sounds good to me. Any final thoughts that you want to leave friendpreneurs with? Any advice you want to just give them that's going to stick so they can think, okay, next time I need to sell my product or service, I need to remember this.
Yes, I will say too that, if you say, okay, my outreach is going to be social media and emails to potential to either even your existing clients, right, or your network, and you're selling something new, or you're selling to people you haven't worked with before. Just remember, if you send an email, they can't hear your passion over email. And how many emails do we get every day? How much time are they spending on that email that you've crafted and you've put your blood, sweat, and tears into this email, and they just look at it and move on? If you call them on the phone and get them on the phone or even their voicemail, they're going to hear your passion. And if you have a conversation on the phone, if they have a question and they sent it in an email, then they have to email you back. Then
Mm-hmm.
you have to email them back with the answer. And by then they might have already moved on, right?
Yeah.
But if on the phone they have a question, you're going to be right there to answer it for them. The phone, don't be afraid of the phone. Like the phone is, and think of how many of your competitors are using the phone. Probably not. So you want to separate yourself from your competitors, pick up the phone.
I didn't want you to say that. But hey, I knew you would. Hey, okay, you guys, friendpreneurs, pick up the phone. Pick up the phone. Pick up the phone. Don't forget that. And I think the personal connection is what's most important. So if we can be in front of one another, whether it's on the phone talking or in front of each other in the same room, it's very important to make those meaningful connections. So I want to segue and give you guys some information, some announcements about friendpreneurship. Our Friendpreneur fam is being launched, and Tuesday, January 30th, we will meet in person at Winston's Grill in Raleigh. And this will be an opportunity for those who've been following Friendpreneurship to hear about this new Friendpreneur fam. It's a community where we'll have several Friendpreneurship experiences throughout the year that build up to conferences and an annual summit. So this membership will involve a loyalty program. It will involve getting together on a regular basis in the rooms with people who are subject matter experts, people who have been in business for a while and need exposure, and people who are coming into business and need to be around these types of like-minded visionaries. So if you are interested in the Friendpreneur fam, you can come out on Tuesday and join us for this information. I'm just going to pull up the definition of this community right quick. A membership community for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs, designed to serve as a pipeline through which visionaries in all stages of business can leverage knowledge and accelerate access to essential tools and resources through friendpreneurship experiences. Like Liz's sales savvy and anything else that entrepreneurs need to know, whether it's finance related or social media marketing, anything that we all need to know other than what we do and what our specialty is, we're going to get together on a regular basis and talk about these things because we need to learn from each other. We need each other. We've established that, right? All right. That's it for this evening. I think I've stayed long enough. Anything else, Liz?
No, that's it. Thank you for
Okay.
having me.
Enjoy your week. It's going to be a great week. Bye, everybody.